So we have our June Positive Living live event this evening, and I'm Claire, as you can see from my name tag, and well, you'll also be able to see Liz as well. And we are the two Pausitivity poster girls. If none of you have met us before, and if you have met us before, it's lovely to see you again. It's absolutely great, and lovely to meet the new people. Tonight we have the most amazing, Tracey hates it. She hates it.
I don't think I've paid her enough money to say that, honestly. It was only like a small sum.
Yeah, it was enough. It was enough, Tracey. It was enough. Tracey from the Menopause Training Company, who's going to, I know, share some fantastic information with you tonight to help you make the best of your menopause life through while in the workplace. And I know this resonates with so many people. Certainly did with me, certainly did with Liz. The reason I left work was because I flooded, for want of a better expression, 2 office seats and had to walk through a male predominant office, open plan office, trying to hide the bloodstains as I tried to escape from the building. So, and I know that's just one of many things that can affect people as the hot flushes. I'll stop because Tracey's going to share. So I'm handing over to Tracey.
Just share my screen with everyone. Okay. So I'm assuming we can see this, what with the Zoom wonderful technology that we have in the world. So yes, I'm Tracey Tait and I'm from the Menopause Training Company, but just some of you might know me from somewhere else. I also have a marketing business that I do, and I set up the Menopause Training Company due to my own menopause experience. So why are we here tonight then? Well, I'm really passionate about talking about menopause in the workplace. And I know that for so many people, having that conversation with someone in the workplace, whether it's their manager, HR, even if it's like a colleague, can be one of the most difficult conversations that they feel that they can ever have. So what I want to do is to highlight why we need to talk about menopause in the workplace and how we can then feel more comfortable about doing that with our manager or HR or anyone else in the work environment. So the plan for tonight then, you're going to be wondering, who the heck am I? I'll share a bit about me, why it's important that we talk about menopause in the workplace, ways that we can make the symptoms that are really aggravated and made worse in the workplace much more manageable. I want to explain why menopause is an uncomfortable topic for us to talk about. Then we're going to break down what to say in your conversation with your manager. There's going to be lots of little sprinkling things of useful information for you, and there might be a few giggles at my expense because I am menopausal and this is technology, and sometimes technology, menopause, and what the hell was I going to say next, and why have I put that slide up there now, might just happen. So I'm just preparing you for some menopausal moments that might happen. So who am I? This is me in Iceland that I went for my 50th birthday. I have been in corporate land. I have worked for other people. I have been a manager in my time. And I am going to admit and be open with you all, I thought menopause was just feeling a wee bit warm sometimes and having days where you're a wee bit more grumpier than normal. I have always wanted more empathy in the workplace. We are human beings going to work. We are going to be engaging, relating, working, influencing with other human beings. So I'm really passionate then about having managers and having employees having the menopause conversation, because at the moment it can feel we're so far apart. Bring empathy into the workplace, reduce that gap, and menopause doesn't become a scary word anymore. We can actually start shouting it from the rooftops and nobody will run away, hopefully. So who am I again then? I left corporate, I left working with other people, and I set up my own business. And it's a business that I nearly lost. So that marketing business that I told you about at the beginning. My menopause symptoms hit when I was 42. and they hit me like a truck. Now, when you do your research and you look into what's going on, why is this happening to me, perimenopause came up. I didn't even know that was a thing. I'd heard of menopause, you know, those feeling slightly warm and a bit more grumpy. But this perimenopausal thing, what the was that all about? And I'd also been an employee, and I'm thinking now, if I was to look back to my corporate life or working for another company and thinking about my menopause, my perimenopause symptoms, there is a high chance that I would have been let go, or that I would have had to have made a decision to leave my place of employment, purely down to my menopause symptoms and the impact that they were having on me. And also as well, one human being to another, I've seen friends and colleagues struggle in the workplace and in their personal lives. Now, before I went through any of this, I had no idea. And I'll hold my hand up and say, I did nothing because I didn't know how to help them or what they were going through. So again, I'm on a mission to change that as well. So why is it important then that we talk about menopause in the workplace? How many women are affected by it? Now, almost 8 out of 10 menopausal women are in work. So what on earth do I mean by menopausal women? It sounds like one of those horrible labels, doesn't it, that we give to people. Menopausal women fall into an age range of predominantly ages of 50 to 64. The average age for menopause is 51. I was 42. There are people who are younger than me going through menopause, whether it's surgical or medical, or sometimes just Mother Nature gets little things out of order. Menopausal women are the fastest growing demographic in the workplace at the moment. I've even done a lovely little graph to show you how that actually has changed over the years. And can you believe this figure? Around 13 million women in the UK are either perimenopausal or menopausal. And that is equal to 1/3 of the entire UK female population. You may be thinking, oh, Trace, this is all just data and numbered, but they're big blooming numbers. And I'm sharing this with you because you might be thinking your symptoms, how you feel in the workplace is just you. Now, as women, we do our damnedest to be swans, to be cool, calm and collected. Our little flippers are doing this underneath. And so we will have days where we will be smiley and happy. But when we are menopausal, perimenopausal, we want to scream, we want to shout, we want to cry, we want to put our heads under the duvet, we want to understand why this is happening to us. So if you have followed Pausitivity or you're joining for the first time, I really want you to think that you are not alone in all of this. Your menopausal symptoms that are happening, there are a lot of lovely, lovely people out there that can help you. And when you're in the workplace, I want you to know that you are not alone. So if you're having symptoms and you think, I'm just really weird, this is just like absolutely crazy, it's not. There are 13 million other women potentially in your club as well. So now I'm going to get you really excited because I've got a graph. So, you know, when I spoke about the menopausal women, it's increasing in the workplace. So within the UK, employment rates 1992 to 2020, those women in the 50 to 64 age band, they've seen an increase. So in 1992, there was nearly 47% of women in the workplace. And in 2020, that jumped to 67.5%. Now, for men, that increase hasn't been seen. 64.9 jumped up to 76.8. So why could this be? Could be an explanation is that for some women, the children have flown the nest and they've thought, right, I'm going back into the workplace, this is my time. Could be for financial reasons. Maybe a relationship has broken down. But do you know what? Women are in the workplace. Let's just flipping well deal with it. we need to look after our women in the workplace. So thinking about your job and your symptoms, is your job making your symptoms worse for you? So research actually gives us some quite big, scary, daunting figures. And it tells us that over 40% suffer with fatigue. Now, menopausal fatigue isn't just tiredness, isn't just feeling like, oh, I could do with like a bit of a nap. It hits you like a truck. It takes any energy that you thought you could ever muster, and it ain't giving you it back. You are drained, you are exhausted, you are literally done in. 35.1 suffer with hot flushes. You know those things that I thought were you just got a wee bit warm, cotton t-shirt's going to sort that out, eh? Good God, I was wrong. When I first started getting hot flushes, I was hotter than the centre of this earth. And it didn't just come and go. Nah, no, none of that. It loitered with intent. It stayed. It made itself welcome. So my body was burning up, sweating, dripping hair, armpits. Oh, you know the story. And they come when you don't want it. So when you're in the workplace, can you imagine? You're either working in a shop and you go to serve someone, boof, a hot flush. You're at work and you go to make a presentation, lo and behold, a hot flush hits you. You just want to go and have a word with your manager or a colleague, and it hits you. 34.6 suffer with brain fog. And again, I thought, wee bit of forgetfulness, you know, I've seen it happen. Again, very debilitating. Now, I told you I nearly lost my business because of my symptoms. I could be sitting at the keyboard to type an email, something I do, God, how many times I dread to think. And I would look at the screen and not know or understand the words that were in front of me. I couldn't process. And then even to get my fingers to work. It would be things like having dates in the diary on my computer, reminders going off at 100, you know, to remind me to do that. And then I would get a phone call or a text to say, where were you? You've missed that meeting. 31.9% suffer with anxiety and worry. And this can be perpetual. This can go on and on. The more you're worried about your anxiety, the more you worry about your worry, the bigger a problem it can be. And if you're in the workplace, when you're trying to be productive and manage all your symptoms and your anxiety and worry is building up and building up, it ain't great. 29.5% suffer with insomnia. If you're not sleeping, if you're just becoming a bad sleeper or you have night sweats, can you imagine you're trying to hold everything else together, your family, your friends, everything else that you do, to then go into work and function? Again, all these symptoms that we need to be aware about when we're in the workplace could be happening to women around us. The thing is about these symptoms as well, you might be really lucky. That's the thing with menopause. There will be some of us that our symptoms are completely manageable and bearable. So you might get nothing of them, or you might get little bits of them. You might get some of them, or you might be unlucky and they all come at the same time to have a party in your body, and there's nothing that you can do about that. Now, I can remember when I started going through my menopause journey, asking a couple of friends that are a bit older than me, again, assumed it's an older woman thing. I'm only 40, this can't be happening to me. And God, you know, when you ask someone a question and you go, that's not the answer I flipping wanted. My first friend said to me, oh yeah, I was 36 and my periods just stopped and it was fine. Oh, okay then. My next friend, I said, mind me asking about like your menopause, what, you know, oh, my periods just petered out and that was absolutely fine. I thought, flipping heck, my first circle of friends, I can't talk to them about menopause because two that I've asked already, it's been an absolute walk in the park. But then the more that you talk, the more that you're open about it, you actually realise that, again, a lot of us are doing the swan thing, trying to be calm and graceful on top when our feet are doing this underneath about our symptoms. I've nicked this from someone who's really, really lovely. She's called Claire Shepherd and she's sitting there. It's too good not to use. So as women, we are used to things being in like cycles, you know, menstrual cycles. So it's like our life is governed by them. But this lovely detail, this graphic that Claire has put together, it highlights what can happen when our symptoms kick in. So if you have problems sleeping, and that can impact on you become fatigued, you've got your tiredness, then that has an impact on your concentration, which can increase your stress levels, which then can impact on your performance, your anxiety, your worry, which then can impact again on your sleep. And these three little circles, I wouldn't say of loveliness, they all work together to do their damnedest to drag you down while you're going through your perimenopause and your menopause. But the good thing is, there are things that we can do about it once you recognise what you can do for yourself, but also how your workplace can help you too. Another survey, I know, but it's to highlight that you are not on your own and how many of us are going through this. So the menopause survey done in 2018, it told us that 76% of those asked their symptoms were moderately or extremely problematic at work. 76%. 20% said they had considered leaving work. And then this increased to 44% of those wishing to leave work because their symptoms were extremely problematic for them. Now, this is bad enough for the person that this is going through and that this is what they're doing. Maybe looking at going part-time, reducing their hours, moving to a different department, asking to be demoted. That has an impact on them, on their purpose, their career, their income, their pension, all these things that they've maybe worked hard to achieve or to keep the roof over their heads. But also for the workplace in question, because within a workplace, you know, you're only as successful as the wonderful people that you have in your team and in your organization. So if you have a high percentage of women or people going through menopause, perimenopause symptoms, and it's impacting them so much that they want to leave, you could actually be losing talent and skills. And then can you imagine that could potentially, as an organization, impact your reputation out there in the bigger world? It's like they don't take care of you when you've got your perimenopause or menopause symptoms. And so again, you're not alone. There are a lot of women. And also as well, these figures really highlight to me that the workplace needs to start to recognise that this is a thing. This is a thing that needs to be looked at and talked about openly and honestly. Just say the word menopause. Your head's not going to fall off. That's not one of those menopause symptoms. At least I hope not anyway. So again, within the workplace, let's think about those really troublesome, problematic symptoms that you might go through, or your employees or your colleagues might go through. And there's a top 5. And the biggest one was like sleep disruption and or night sweats, you know, that symptom that leads to insomnia, but then triggers a whole lot of other things potentially as well. There's your hot flushes and or daytime sweats as well, heavy or irregular periods, headaches and fatigue, and then those unexpected muscular aches, bone and joint pain, which can impact you in the workplace. So again, if you're in the workplace and you're exhausted and you're tired, you can't do the job that you've probably been able to do really, really well for such a long time. I've mentioned those hot flushes. They can just come at the most inappropriate time. They're a bit naughty like that. Heavy or irregular periods. I suffered with these, and I was fortunate at the time that I had to set up my business, so I was working from home. I did not leave the house for 3 months. I can remember sitting here where you're seeing me now, and I can just feel a change in my body. I go, oh, here we go again. I would stand up, and before I had stood up, my clothes were soaked. My office chair was soaked. I didn't get enough time to get to the bathroom. And this is a common symptom for women, the flooding. It's kind of like your periods having their final hurrah, but by God, they have a really good, party with you, don't they? And so can you imagine in the workplace, that anxiety, that worry, that stress, that if that was to happen to you, or if that is something that you are aware could happen. The headaches and the fatigue. I've talked about the fatigue. The headaches they're like the worst hangover. that you've ever had, but it just doesn't go away. The kind of headaches that if you do choose to take paracetamol, ibuprofen, or any other pain relief, doesn't touch the sides. You can think, I'm dehydrated, I'll have water. Doesn't touch the sides. I'll maybe have a nap. Doesn't touch the sides. They're the kind of debilitating headaches that we can have, and they can last for more than one day as well. So can you imagine in the workplace, or even working from home, like a lot of us are at the minute, screen time, being on Zoom, writing reports, etc. All that is, it's going to be a terrible time for anyone. But there's also the aches and pains that we can get as our body changes. So within the workplace, if you're doing a job that, your hands, or you're standing, or you're moving, or you're sitting, you might feel a bit of discomfort. So what we're going to do next then is we're going to look at each of these symptoms, and I'm going to share with you some adjustments that can be made in the workplace. So if this is for you and you're looking at how you want to start having a conversation with your manager, feel free to look at some of the ideas, the options that you might be able to suggest to your manager in your conversation with them. Or if you are in the workplace and responsible for looking after people, then you can sort of see how some of the ideas that you can help and support. And I promise you that they are not massively over expensive. I know businesses have to think about profits and bottom line. Of course they do. So we're going to be looking at practical changes that you can be making in the workplace. So the first one then is the sleep disruption and the night sweats. It might be just recognizing that you may need to take some short-term absence if someone has had a difficult night. Be more aware about that. It could be someone requests a change in their shift patterns, or making it more easy for colleagues to talk to themselves and talk about changing shift patterns, or to coming in at a later time or an earlier time, things that are going to help them manage these symptoms. So again, they're a flexible working arrangement. For some organisations, it could be that you offer a later start or a later finishing time. Again, none of these changes are expensive, and I know that it means sometimes looking at your organisation and who's in and who's not. But again, that's the kind of thing that is just, being a good manager and thinking about your people within your workplace. And also as well, with the pandemic and everything, well, more and more people are actually working from home. Things have been set up where we can work from home. So again, this could be something that you would look to extend and make given the possibility to work from home more on an ad hoc basis, if that is going to help them in the long term as well. Those pesky hot flushes or daytime sweats. So look at ways that you can make the environment, your working environment, cooler. Now, this could be something as simple as providing a desk fan. It could be something as simple as letting someone sit closer to a window that opens. Or, and I know this is going to be contentious, because when I worked in corporate land, the request to adjust the air conditioning, it's a big topic, I know, but if it's a conversation that can be had and it's going to make people comfortable or move people closer to the air conditioning, again, it's not costing you anything. All it's doing is moving bums on seats a little bit to help someone be that bit more comfortable. The amount of times providing access to cold drinking water comes up is unbelievable. And when you take a hot flush and you feel that you're the equivalent temperature to the centre of the world, then cold drinking water is going to make a difference. And access to washrooms as well, where people can just, cool themselves down and freshen themselves up more comfortably. Uniforms, so many companies and organisations, and again, I completely understand this, we're looking at maximising profits and getting the most out of everything. The majority of uniforms provided are made from man-made materials. These can actually be really uncomfortable. When you take a hot flush, polyester, oh my goodness, it ain't a comfortable thing to wear. But also skin sensitivity as well. Itchy skin can be a symptom of perimenopause as well. So man-made materials are a bit more uncomfortable. So it could be that you look to introducing more natural materials for your uniforms in the workplace. Now, this is quite topical, but PPE, but again, it could be about being sensible and limiting the time that colleagues are wearing PPE. Now, obviously, within COVID, current restrictions, etc., being sensible. But if there is a possibility that you can limit the PPE that they're wearing, or look at buying a PPE that's a bit more comfortable for your employee, or even researching the price for it yourself if this is the conversation that you want to have with your manager. Those dreaded heavy or irregular periods. So again, it's providing easy access to washrooms and toilet facilities for these people. Now, a lot of places, they can be really quite strict about when you use the bathroom. This is probably more common in factory settings and environments where there's like production lines, etc. You get a break and that's that. But for these women, it could be more manageable for them to go to the bathroom a bit more regularly to refresh the sanitary towel, etc. So just consider that. That could be something that you can ask for as well. And also, again, working from home. If they've got very heavy bleeding and there's a job that they can do, from home, then that is an option as well. You provide toilet roll, at least I hope you do, in your toilets. Why not have just like a little basket with sanitary products in the toilets or the washrooms? Now, I can remember when I was in corporate land, oh God, that going into your drawer to get your sanitary product and try and shove it up the sleeve of your jumper and make that walk across the office, or picking up your handbag. You may as well put a flipping flashing light on your head, on your period, on your period, on your period. So why not? This is about, making people feel more comfortable at work. Put sanitary products in the toilets or the washrooms, and then you won't see anybody doing the period walk. They'll just be able to walk to the toilet and go, it's fine. What I need is in the bathroom, thank the Lord. Or women, our periods aren't always regular as well, and that's another sign, for perimenopause. Then can you imagine you're caught short? Oh my God, you go to the toilet, you come back again. You're doing that in the drawer, trying to put your bits and pieces up your jumper. I'm on my period, I'm on my period. No, just have sanitary products in the toilets. I think I've said enough about that. We'll move on now. So again, this heavy bleeding as well. So it could be that, bottoms are part of the uniform. So provide additional uniform, or make it easy for them to request extra uniforms if needed. And that just takes away the whole discomfort if there's any incidents or accidents in the workplace as well. Those headaches and that fatigue. It could be something as simple as asking for a temporary adjustment to your duties. There could be something that is a flipping nightmare when you get these horrible hormonal headaches. So ask to have a temporary change made. It could be that you can just find somewhere quieter to work as well. Access to a restroom. This can be used for anyone who is perimenopausal, menopausal, even in work, and they just have a moment, they need to gather their thoughts. And so it's just somewhere that they can go and just collect their thoughts, get themselves ready and go back out. So it's just somewhere to create that space, if possible, within your working environment. And again, access to cold drinking water. It really, really does make a difference. In fact, I was reading a case study. This was actually taken, it was like on a production line. And on the production line, yes, it was predominantly women on the line. And they were allocated certain times for their breaks. Now, these women who are having their headaches or being really thirsty, just needing to top up, they had a hot flush. By the time they'd gone to get their water, that was their break over, because of how the factory was laid out. So they just said, look, if we could just have maybe, some cold water at the end of every line, then we can top up our water and drink that. That's absolutely fine. And we're much happier. People with our breaks aren't being used to traipse all the way across to top up our drinking containers. And what actually happened was the company was like, yeah, okay, we'll give it a go. And production actually went up because the workplace were being cared for. And all it was cold drinking water, and that was enough to make a difference to the working environment. It might be for the headaches or the fatigue, a few more regular breaks and opportunities to perhaps take medication. Some people are prescribed specific medication, and so give them that permission to have that break, you know, just to go and do what they need to do. And again, like any of these symptoms, and also with COVID and everything now, if you can, let people work from home, because we can manage our symptoms a bit better when we work from home. So again, my 3 months of bleeding, it wasn't so bad. I could, you know, pop next door to my bedroom, get a change of clothes or have a shower and get back to my working environment, and then get, you know, back online and do what I needed to do. Those unexpected muscular aches, bone and joint pain. So again, it's just like looking at risk assessments, what's going on in the environment and where can you make some changes? Again, possibly just temporary. So if it's something that aggravates a pain that you might have, then look at maybe doing that for a shorter period of time, or maybe sharing that job with another person in your team. So it's looking at options all the time. It could be that they need additional equipment to help. So when we're in the office, or even when we're working from home, we all get the assessment, don't we? Are we sitting in the right place? Is our nose in the middle of the screen? Are we typing correctly? The same can be said for the menopausal pains, aches and joints. So when you do your risk assessment, consider things like this as well. What can you do to alleviate and make people a bit more comfortable in the workplace? And if it's going to make you more comfortable to be able to move or stay mobile, then consider that as an easier option as well. So now we're going to have the difficult conversation, the one that so many of us will go, I don't want to do this, it's going to be awful, I don't know what to say. So why is it saying menopause in front of another person in the workplace is such a difficult conversation for us to have? It might be for a few reasons. It could be that you feel embarrassed. It could also be as well that you don't actually want to explain what's going on for you right now. And let's be honest, you might not even be 100% sure yourself what is actually happening to you and going on. You don't want to be seen to be the one struggling in work. And then added to that, there's that fear of being ridiculed for, oh, she can't handle the hot flushes. Oh my God, what's going on there? Ugh. So we keep it to ourselves and we struggle and we do that swan, graceful on the top, paddling like you know what underneath. Before we go into the stages that you can do to create your conversation with your manager, I would like you to ask yourself a couple of questions. The first one is, so what is the problem that's going on right now? And be honest, write it down. What is the problem? The next question might surprise you. So what does the other person think the problem is? Now, when we're in the workplace, or even when we're with friends, and you notice someone behaving a bit differently, not being the same that they once were, you know, this human being thing again, assumptions. We make assumptions. So if you're thinking about your manager or your colleague or a member of staff, what could they be thinking? Now, if they haven't even considered perimenopause, menopause, anything medical, it might be that they think you don't give a monkey's stuff about your job anymore. It might be that they're thinking, oh God, they're going to look, you know, they're going somewhere else. They have all these assumptions. Now, the reason that we do things like that is just to kind of get you thinking about your manager, the person you're going to have this conversation with. They're a human being as well. They make assumptions just like you do. Now, I always suggest that you plan what you would like to say, but you don't write a script. So what you can do is write down your notes, the key points, you know, before your conversation, just either on a notepad, on some cards, however that works for you. So why do I say don't write a script? as much as I would love our lives to be like Hollywood, you say your line, the other person says theirs, and it's all delivered perfectly and brilliantly. This ain't Hollywood. And when you have another conversation with another human being and you haven't given them the script, there's a massive chance they're going to go off script, and then you're going to go, I flipping dare you, that's not what you were supposed to have said. You should have said this. And when we're perimenopausal and going through menopause and having this conversation, it doesn't take much to derail us. We can suddenly get emotional, we can get upset because we've been brave enough to go and have this conversation with another human being. And if they don't jolly well follow our script, that can knock us off kilter. So the last thing we want to kind of give ourselves as much control and positive, like the right energy for having this conversation as we can. So that's why I always suggest try and keep away from the script, unless of course you are writing a play and this is what you need to do and you're talking about a conversation with your manager. But in real life, just stick to writing notes and don't be derailed if they don't follow the script. So the chat then, so like anything that can feel overwhelming and huge, I'm a massive fan of breaking things down into smaller, bite-sized, more manageable chunks for us and our brains. So the 5 ways that I think you can break down your conversation that you're going to have with your manager is these 5 steps here. So you start off by saying, I have a problem. Then you go into the conversation about this is how it's affecting me. This is how it's impacting my work. And then here's what I need help with in order to improve my productivity within a suggested time frame. Now, you've prepared for this conversation, you've gone and had that conversation, and we also want to make sure that there's a follow-up to this conversation that we've had. And you can instigate that, and I'm going to show you how you can do that in quite a natural conversational way. So let's take the first part of constructing your conversation with your manager. So the first part is, I have a problem. So this is where you want to outline what's going on for you clearly. And the idea is for you to talk to your boss about what's going on for you, what your situation is. So it could be something along the lines of these examples. Obviously, these are just used as guidelines, but hopefully it'll give you some ideas and inspiration for you having your conversation. So it could be, I'm experiencing hot flushes because of my menopause. I'm exhausted because night sweats caused by my menopause are keeping me awake. A couple of more examples for you. I know you've noticed I'm not as on top of things as I normally am. Well, I'm struggling with my menopause symptoms. Or it could be, before it gets worse, really wanted to explain why I'm not engaged as much as I usually am. Well, it's because my brain fog, thanks to my menopause. So it's just you explaining what is going on for you. Then outline, give your boss, your manager, whoever it is that you're talking to, how that then affects you. So, when I get these hot flushes, I'm so embarrassed and my clothes get soaked through and I end up looking like I've stepped out of a sauna. Because I'm so tired, I'm finding it difficult to think clearly. And another couple of examples for you. One of my symptoms is I have heightened anxiety. I'm worrying about everything, constantly about my work and what others are thinking about me. Or it could be, it causes me to forget things or to struggle with things I've done day in and day out for years. And then how it's impacting your work. So you can lead on by saying, so when this happens, it means. And then you can go on and explain. I'm spending time away from my desk and not being productive because I need to go and find somewhere to cool down. Or it could mean that it's taking me so much longer to make those decisions, to actually have confidence in my decisions and to get my tasks completed. And it could be something along the lines of, well, I'm spending my time reworking what I've done. I'm not handing it in to you because I think it's all wrong. And then you've noticed I'm missing deadlines. It's taken me so much longer to do tasks I used to do in no time at all. You might have seen me walk onto the shop floor and then look confused as to why I'm there. This is where we ask for help. So why am I saying, please ask your manager for help? Okay, between you and me, managers don't know everything. They just don't. This could be the first time that someone has sat and mentioned the menopause word, or perimenopause, or a symptom and how it's impacting this individual in the workplace. And so you're actually, kind of helping your manager out by telling them what's going on, how it's impacting your work, but then also showing them that you're actually coming with a solution. You're not just looking at them and going, so what are you going to do about it then? What are you going to do? You've actually considered a couple of things that might make the work environment a bit better for you. So it could be things like this. So I have a couple of ideas that might help me through this. They're not expensive. What manager doesn't like to hear words like that? And they could be introduced within a few days. So it could be a fan on my desk, that would help. Or if possible, I could be moved closer to one of the windows that opens. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Or if you've been struggling with sleep. I've been thinking if I could come into work maybe later on in a couple of days and maybe work from home when symptoms are really, really bad. And that would help me with my anxiety and also my embarrassment. But more importantly, it means I could still be productive while I'm at home. And then when you want to put your conversation together, it's not just necessarily a case of going through points 1 to point 5. So we want to kind of make it as conversational as we can with our manager because they're a human being as well, remember? So I've put something together that you can possibly follow and use as a template. So you could say, thanks for making time to catch up with me. You know how important the product launch is and how important it is to me. But to be honest, I'm really struggling to move forward with it. You see, the problem is I'm experiencing hot flushes because of my menopause. And when this happens, I'm so embarrassed. Then you can go on using the steps. My clothes get soaked through and I look like I've stepped out of a sauna, which means, so it's the impact on your work, I'm spending time away from my desk and not being productive because I need to go and find somewhere to cool down, which in turn makes me anxious. I have a couple of ideas that might help me through this. A fan on my desk would help, or if possible, could I move closer to a window that opens? I'd love to hear your thoughts. So this is how you can start to structure and be more organised and planned for your conversation. Now, a lot of you are possibly watching and going, but Tracey, we're all working from home. We're all on Zoom. We're on Zoom now, for goodness sake. This is the way of the world. But the thing is, you can still have conversations with your manager about your menopause symptoms. Yes, working from home really does help us, but as I've said earlier, there are still menopause symptoms that are still going to be troublesome and impact you and your working. So again, you can just say something like this. So thanks for this chat. You probably all zoomed out, but I wanted to let you know why I've been late to the morning meetings and a bit unprepared. I'm not sleeping. My menopause symptoms are keeping me up most of the night and I'm exhausted, which means typically when it's time to start my working day, that's when my body wants to go to sleep. And yes, that's why I've been late to our calls or unprepared. So I've been thinking of ways around this. I can prep the information you need and send it to you the day before, so you've got it for the meeting. Now, another suggestion would be to maybe push back the start of the meeting by an hour. Which option would work best for you? So as I've said, managers, they don't know everything. They Google loads of stuff, just like you and me. So your manager might need thinking time after what you have told them. there is a chance that they may need to head to Google to just look into what you've actually just told them that's happening to you. They may need to speak to a colleague in HR or even occupational health or even their line manager. So now we want to get that follow-up date for action or another meeting in the diary. So the action could be that you're going to investigate the pricing of desk fans or rests for your wrists, or if you have someone within that department, can I contact them to do that for you? So it's like keeping that momentum going after you've put your very, very sort of brave face on and had this meeting and conversation with your manager. And again, we want to keep it as conversational as we can. So again, just some little guidelines for you to help you. Thanks for listening. I know this might all be a bit much to get your head around. You can kind of use that line when your manager has that startled rabbit look, you know, where they say nothing and do nothing and just look at you and their brain's going, what the heck do I do or say now? This is a good one for that. And you need to think about what I've shared with you. How about we catch up at the end of the week? Or again, if it's like, if you're really not too sure what's kind of going on, you probably want to speak to HR about what ideas they have to help. Would next Friday at 2 p.m. be good to catch up? You might be thinking, I can't talk to my manager, Trace. Absolutely no way, it's not going to happen. So is this just the end of the presentation now? I don't talk to anybody and that's me absolutely goosed. It's not. I think I've got you covered. If your manager isn't someone that you feel that you can talk with about your situation, then go directly to human resources. If you have an occupational health, then you can go and speak to them. There are also unions that can help support and guide you. So you might actually have a union within your organisation, or within the UK, there is the Unison or the GMB union. Now, within the notes, once this goes on to YouTube, there will be a link where you can actually go and have a look at unions that are within your area. Now, what they can do is give you advice of what you might need within your workplace, but also as well, if you remember, they will come along to meetings with you and have those conversations with you. So again, part of this presentation is to really shout from the rafters, you are not alone in any of this. There's a lot of people out there that can help you. And also as well, you might just feel that you want to talk to a trusted colleague first of all. And so again, share with them what's going on, and then it could be that they will go along with you as well to speak with the manager, or they might have some knowledge, just something like that. But I would really, you know, try not to keep it in and have conversations where and with who you can to get the support that you need. So you're probably sick to the back teeth of me quittering on. So we're going to wrap up. So before you prepare for your conversation, ask yourself a couple of questions. What's the problem? And what does the other person think the problem is? It kind of helps to humanize them as well. And also it flags up potential assumptions that might be lingering as well. And then go through the 5 steps, break it down, thinking about going in, having a Zoom call, a telephone call, or a face-to-face with someone about what is going on for you right now. My good God, it feels so overwhelming. Break it down into little bite-sized chunks, write it on your notepad, break it down. So I have a problem. This is how it's affecting me. This is how it's impacting my work. And here's what I need help with in order to improve my productivity in a suggested time frame. And then ask for the follow-up, because with the best will in the world, you have given a lot of information, but this is the kind of thing that isn't going to be just solved within one conversation with your manager or your HR or OH. There could be an ongoing thing in terms of levels of support that possibly could be there for you as well. So if you want any more information that might be for you, or if you kind of want to prod your manager and go, menopause, you need to start saying it out loud, then there's resources out there for them. So on my website, I have blogs And within that, the blogs are predominantly aimed at managers. So there's even a guide to menopause. There's how they can understand the menopause and the law, how it's important to them. Things like risk assessments, reasonable adjustments, all that kind of like technical stuff that managers busy themselves with. It's all there for them. If you want, please feel free to drop me a line, a loiter on LinkedIn as me. And also the Menopause Training Company has a wee business profile as well. I'm on YouTube. I put a video out every Thursday, ranging from why menopause is an issue, risk assessments, the law, and everything else in between. I am on Twitter. That's how I met Claire and Elizabeth. It's a great place to hang out. You meet some amazing people. And also, if you would prefer to just get in touch with me, then my email is there, and I promise I reply to every single one. And also, if you would much rather, like, do you know what, probably if you pop the kettle on and we have a natter, drop me an email and we can arrange for that as well, because the more of us that we can talk about this M word, menopause, shout it from the rafters, the better. So I think that's me done, ladies. Thank you very, very much to everyone. I don't think anybody nodded off, maybe one or two, but thank you very much. I'll stop sharing my screen now.
How could they nod off when that was so interesting? I was nodding. I was nodding because there was so much.
That's what I meant. That's not nodding. Yeah,
yeah.
That's what I meant. Of course.
I was nodding about so much that you said, because like, I'm a real gobby person at work, and I've broke glass ceilings, and then menopause came, and suddenly I couldn't even do a job that I'd done, 20 years ago. I like turned down the opportunity and to go do it, because I was just like, I have no confidence left. I can't do that at all. So it was really
just disappears, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You become a different person and you don't recognize who you are. And I think it's that struggle that you can't get yourself back.
Yeah.
It's like, where the hell have I gone? And so you spend all this time and energy trying to be all things to everyone and everybody. It's really, really tricky. It's really tricky. It's so exhausting, and it's not a nice place to be.
Yeah. We had somebody asked where your research was from at the beginning, Tracey, your statistics.
Yeah, it's a combination of the Menopause Report 2018, but also the UK government did a lot of reports as well. So if anybody is interested in actually seeing where all my data comes from, I am more than happy to share that. I mean, be prepared, some might be a bit larger than others, but there's a lot of like really useful stuff. So I'm always like looking out for the most up-to-date, not thumbs up to Tracey, so the most up-to-date information, whether it's data, statistics, research, leadership around this stuff as well. And so if I ever find anything and anybody wants that, save you kind of trawling the tinterweb for it, doesn't it? So, because I've done all that for you, I'll just tweak it over to you, and you can spend your evening with a large coffee watching, reading through it if you want. So I shall sort that out for you, Tracey.
We have a couple of questions if you're up for it. First of all, Stevie, would you like to unmute and come and say hello? Stevie's question's great, actually. I really, yeah.
You're put in the hot seat, Stevie.
Yeah.
No pun intended, because we're talking about flushes and things, are we? That's another thing. You kind of find all these menopause puns. Sorry, Stevie. What's your question?
It's okay. No, my manager is coming for retirement age, so she might not be around much longer, which might help. But she was embarrassed enough 2 years ago when she thought I had a bad period. So how on earth do I talk to her without embarrassing her?
Sorry, what was the first part of your question there? Your manager?
Well, my manager, I mean, like I say, she might have retired by the time menopause hits. I'm 49, but nothing much is going on. But she gets really embarrassed about anything to do with periods, Yeah,
I think that's a lot of things that can put people off. So I think it's sometimes taking the medical side out of it, because I know when people have gone to, like, for example, like workshops, and it's all been like a bit of medical stuff around menopause and all that female psychology, but what you can just do is talk about how it's impacting you, so what would make things easier for you. And even if it's like saying things like time of the month, women's troubles, then use the language that is going to kind of help your manager feel comfortable to help you.
It doesn't help that she started using the change to refer to my transition.
Right. Uh-huh. Well, that's lovely.
It's very confusing though. She says something about the change, and I was like,
which one?
She means my potential surgery.
Yeah.
At some point down the road, not actually.
Yeah. And managers need to be aware of that as well, Stevie, because that there is like medical, menopause as well, and the medical ones that are, and also sort of drug induced as well, and that has an impact on people, doesn't it? And so it's creating that awareness. It could be that if the manager feels like that, it's just getting some documents and even just emailing that, and thinking you might find this useful. It's written in a way that can help you understand a bit more about what's going on. And again, it's that thing. It's even me, Stevie. I thought, I'm in my 40s. For goodness sake, this happens to older ladies. How awful is that to think that? But again, this is part of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Is the whole educational side of it. And again, even for you, to transition. Even the menopause has to be recognised that's going to be an impact for some people in that area as well. And again, be human, hold that space for another human being in a way that they need that help and support. So again, if there's my guide on my website, if there's anything that I can help sort of send you to then forward onto your manager, Stevie, I'm more than happy to help you with that.
Brilliant, thanks.
Kind of just like to, that poor manager of yours that's kind of, let's not say the word periods. Does she whisper?
Well, I had to do meetings. I got bad cramps back before lockdown, and she took me aside after and said, I suddenly realised why you wanted it out. I couldn't say anything because there were the boys leading the meeting. And I was like, I'm fine. I don't mind if the boys know.
Yeah. There's a lot of awareness needs to be done in the workplace across the board. There are a lot of managers who are very, very aware, very human, very understanding. We have a long way to go in educating more people, which is, why I feel really privileged to have been asked by Claire and Elizabeth to kind of do this, to get this conversation, going. Let's be able to talk about these things to support other human beings.
That really brings me on. If she's up for it, Tracey has a question that leads on nicely from that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Tracey.
Hello,
fabulous name, darling, by the way.
Do you like it? It's spelled the same as well. Look at that.
I wanted just to see, I get quite a lot of questions asked to me when I'm running menopause workshops, how we can encourage men to come on the courses, or at least to encourage them to talk about menopause after my guys go away from my courses, because most people that will attend mine are women or women who bleed. So it's trying to encourage the male people to talk about menopause, and as you say, not for the older generation.
Yeah, and again, it's that when I did like lots of research, when we were putting bits and pieces together, what puts a lot of men off is that there's going to be bleeding and medical stuff as well. So when you're talking about, your workshops and your course, it's like thinking about the objections. This is my marketing head going on, Tracey.
Yeah.
But it's like thinking about the objections that they would have. Why would they not go, but why will they come? And so just from the outset, just say, we don't talk ovaries. We don't have pictures of uteruses on the screen or anything like that. I don't have pictures of tampons and just basically sort of say how you're going to talk to them about it. So it's how you can support the women in your life, or to understand the impact that it can have. And so we can do that. I know I sort of touched on heavy bleeding and things like that, but you can talk about the lack of sleep, the mood swings, the sort of whoosh in temperature, and what you can do to kind of make them feel better. So my top tip to you is, whenever I've kind of come across a man that ditch the medical stuff. Data as well is always kind of very good, especially male dominated businesses. So I've touched kind of on that things there tonight. The productivity loss, retention, how much it costs them to hire, to replace that person as well. And that kind of can get their ears pricked up a little bit to get them into your workshops as well. It's costing me how much to hire one person? Oh my God, don't want that. Want to keep them and do it that way. But again, if there's anything else I can, pass that.
I'll be emailing you, because I'm the one that asked about the research as well. So
no, honestly, anything that you want on anything like that, on anything that we've found as well, then I'll happily share. More than happy.
Lovely. Thank you. I want to get the word out there.
Brilliant. Me too. In between drinking tea.
Absolutely.
And we have last question, because time's getting on, from Chris. Chris, who's on the Bahamas.
Well, sort of. Wishful thinking, right?
Oh, she's always somewhere glamorous, this one. Always.
I know. I knew I needed a new background just for you. No potatoes for me today.
That's a different webinar altogether, folks.
Definitely. No, I was just kind of has something to do with what Tracey was asking, is about the men, or a lot of the managers are male. So do you have any tips for managers, how to approach a person who you think could have perimenopausal symptoms or something like that?
Yeah, well, here in the UK, we are not allowed to say, are you menopausal? We ain't allowed to say anything like that. Sometimes it can just be making offers of suggestion of what support would be beneficial to you, or even just like sort of starting that whole kind of conversation within the company, in the hope that then that person can either have a conversation with you to come and say, actually, when you sent that email out about, and this is the kind of support that we can have, then I'm interested in this kind as well. So I don't know in Germany how, if you can sort of say, are you? I know we're not allowed to within the UK. But just
I probably would kind of ask, hey, I see you have issues with productivity, or I can see you're not finishing your things in time and stuff like that. You can then probably approach and say, what's going on? Can I help you somehow?
Yeah. So the conversation,
I guess this is how I probably would approach this, but I was just wondering, it's maybe for men more difficult than for women. I don't know.
Yeah. What I would, sort of just suggest there is, managers tend to have the conversations when productivity is an issue. So yes, you're absolutely right. If you're a manager, just say, look, I've noticed that you've been turning up late. I've noticed that your reports have been handed. I've noticed you've gone onto the shop floor, and you kind of like look around, and it's just offering that managerial sort of help and support, and the ways that you can like look to help them. If there's anything I can do to help or make things easier or put things in place, and have that conversation with them. So,
thank you.
Hopefully that helps.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Chris. And thank you so much, Tracey. That was really good. Like I said, my head was nodding like mad, and I'm sure we've had lots of thank yous already, and going through. I'm sure lots of people found it really, really interesting. And thank you everybody for coming. Thank you for your questions. They always get me thinking. And then I go home and I start talking to Mr. 50 Cents, and he's like, oh, shut up. So thank you everybody for
so much to talk about.
It was great to see so many people here. We hope to see you all next month as well, when we have
I knew you were going to ask that. I've just been having an email conversation with them. Apparently they haven't received the email with all the information on, so I'm going to have to resend that with the date. So I'm not going to say who it is because it may be at another time, but I will let everybody know because you're all signed up via Eventbrite. I'll let everybody know when that is confirmed. And if you haven't yet got the Pausitivity poster, which you should all have, and the support pack, then please do download that and share that with everybody, because there's some fantastic information in there that can really help. And again, there's links to Tracey and a resource from her, but we will be uploading this recording to YouTube. I'll let you know when that happens, with all Tracey's contact details that she wants us to share with you. So, and again, please do share that with others as well, because I think this information is absolutely invaluable.
Yeah, Tracey's resources on our support sheet is really interesting. They're very good. And the Know Your Menopause poster is just so easy to put up and start the conversation at work. It's a really good way of breaking down the boundaries and doing it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's a great way to do that. Yeah.
And Chris has just pointed out that it also exists in German now. Thanks to her. So yes, we have it in several languages, and we're hoping to have it in some more as well. So it's very exciting. And that's it. And we'll just say thank you everybody for joining us tonight. It's been great to see so many friendly faces. And we hope to see you all next month. Have a great month.
Yeah. Bye.
Have a great evening. Bye. Thank you very much.